2 and 1.
Two.
Oh, okay. That's a tie. That is a tie. Tammy, I think that's the first.
And
Smooth
ties on the same person, you know, I think we ended up having to,
times.
Actually, I'm kind of like Mike, 3-3, it'll be 3-3.
yeah.
Let's go to the tree board.
Mayor, there is one vacancy to be filled by an interested citizen of the city of Enid for the tree board to fill an unexpired term to March 1st, 2016. The vacancy is due to the resignation of Mr. John Ward. There are actually 2 applicants for this on your ballot, and they are Robert Crowcroft and William Noakes. If either of you are here and would like to speak to the commission, you're welcome to do so at this time.
See anybody getting,
So this is a vote for one.
Be funny if we ended up with I can't really have another tie, can you?
2-2. See who gets it.
Somebody had to change.
Because there's
the vote.
7, so there are only 3 options. Stay.
We do have a winner. The new library board member will be Tracy Layton. Congratulations, Tracy.
Mayor, if you'd like, I'll go with the ADA access.
Go right ahead. We'll get the tree board here.
ADA Access Board, there's one vacancy to be filled by a person residing in Garfield County who has a disability to fill an unexpired term to April 7th, 2017. The vacancy is due to the resignation of Ms. Delisa Ging. Applications and ballots are attached for your consideration, and we have 4 applicants. They are Marion Chance, Elda Jones, Peggy Isbell, and Carolyn Poplin. And would you like to speak? Sure.
I don't know if I need this or not. I usually have a very loud voice that carries. I know some of you I'd like to get to know. I've been a city resident combined over 40 years to Enid, Oklahoma. I've worked for the Department of Human Services. I've been employed at various other places. My concern and my honor would be to serve the city of Enid, to help other people who have disabilities to have access to anywhere they want to go. I myself have been disabled since 1988. I know the difficulties it is to get into a building that does not have access for a wheelchair or a walker or a scooter. I know the difficulty it is. Recently, I am currently working with Chisholm High School and their board to get ADA compliant in their seating, their arena seatings, because I have been either forced to sit down below the bleachers where I don't have access to see the entire game. I have 2 grandchildren and several nieces and nephews that play for Chisholm, and I go to as many games as my health will allow. And I approached the board of Chisholm and explained to them that whether their school was built before or after the ADA requirements came out, that there are not only parents and grandparents, but possibly students in Chisholm, or that might be in Chisholm, that would like to be able to attend the activities and be able to participate. And I'm very proud to say that I have to think of the word they call it. A prototype has now been installed in the bleachers for a wheelchair, walker, or scooter. And when I attended the game last Friday night, and the gentlemen that have been working on this prototype came by, and each one of them, every time they'd come by, they'd say, "How's that working for you?" And so they're working on that, and they have more that they would like to install as time goes by. I'd have a difficulty getting up the ramp in my wheelchair. It will take over $26,000 for them to change the ramp access for disabled people. At this time, I have to have someone that will help keep my wheel straight as I go up, and so I don't crash into the bars at the top. And when I go down, someone has to hold on to the back of my chair. So otherwise, I would topple over and the chair would end up on top of me. I've worked with the Department of Human Services for 10 years, and at that time, during that time, I became disabled and in a wheelchair, and I worked with them to make the building accessible for myself and for clients that are disabled. I've had family members that have disabilities. I've also worked in the medical profession with St. Mary's as a volunteer for 3.5 years, and I've worked with them on getting the disability, suddenly my mouth doesn't want to work. To get the ADA requirements working.
What is your name, ma'am?
My name is Mary Ann Chance. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And my husband works for St. Mary's. And I am, at this time, I'm not volunteering at St. Mary's, but when I wrote this opening, I truly felt that this is something that I could serve the city of Enid.
Thank you.
Again, you have, I'm sorry.
Would you state your name for us, ma'am?
My name is Peggy Isbell. I took the last nurse aid class training at St. Mary's. And I was born there, had my first job there, real job. Anyway, while working there, I was requested by the head RN in the infirmary out at State School then to come to work there after she saw me working with one of their clients. So I worked out there for a while. Then I went back to St. Mary's and I worked about 7 or 8 years on the orthopedic floor where I took care of the disabled, broken arms, broken backs, legs, hips, whatever. And then I went back after the nuns left. It was not the same. So I went back to work at Norris now, and I worked the last 8 years, I believe, there as an occupational therapy aide trained by the occupational therapists that were employed there, and I became aide of number 2 instead of a number 1. Then I quit there when my husband's mother, and he asked me to quit, to stay home and take care of them because his mother was already disabled and I had been taking care of her. And when we lost our help, she said, "Honey, I don't know why you can't take care of me all the time because I love you." And my husband told her, well, she has another job someplace else. And at that time, we weren't married. And he said, "You'll have to ask her to quit." And I knew right then he wanted me to quit and take care of them. And I loved Dorothy Isbell so much, I couldn't leave her. So I quit my job, and I wound up marrying Lonnie. He was disabled. He and his 2 other brothers had the same disease except different reactions to it. One of them was lucky. He had a heart attack and died before he was so disabled he couldn't walk anymore. My husband, when I met him, walked with a cane, then he walked with a walker, and then we went to the wheelchair. And I understand the problems that I had encountered by taking care of these disabled people, what we run into, just like Ms. Chance stated. I had a husband that needed help in a bathroom. Where do you go to take your husband to a bathroom? You don't want to take him in the men's bathroom, and because they don't like you there. And when you take him into a woman's bathroom, I was at a McDonald's and I heard the little girl say to her mother, "There's a man in here." And luckily, the woman knew what to say to her child. I believe there ought to be bathrooms that ought to be able to where any person can take their person that's disabled or a child in a unisex bathroom away from other people for privacy. Also, I had a brother that died recently of cancer, and the treatments caused him to either be constipated or have diarrhea. And he run into some predicaments himself when it come time to have an episode of diarrhea and have to change in a public restroom. So I understand a lot of things. I hooked my husband to a church, which is, they don't have to go with the government. And like Ms. Chance said, the ramp was so steep that it was very hard for me to get him down below because there was no elevator. There's no bathroom there, and I called him and I said, we will not be back because of a problem that I had with him. And it's embarrassing when you walk out of a bathroom and you hear people saying, there's the lady that husband had to be cleaned up by her. There ought to be privacy for those mistakes. And like Ms. Chance, it's very hard for you to go to a ball game of a child. You sit down there on the side of a basketball game, you might have a kid and a basketball in your lap while you're sitting there in a wheelchair because you can't get up. So I understand very much so the needs of the disabled because of working with them. And I would like to see some changes made, like unisex bathrooms in different areas where we can take our family. It's even a good idea for a parent. A daddy has a little girl. Do you want to go in the men's bathroom with your daughter? A woman has a little boy. Do you want to go in the men's bathroom with your little boy? But if you have unisex bathrooms, there's no problem for the child or the parent. So I understand a lot of the needs that we need for our loved ones that need taken care of.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
We need to vote for one. I'm sorry, Joan. Is there anyone else?
I don't believe so. Just vote for one.
The person that will be on the tree board will be William Noakes. Before we go into item 6.1, we do have one person signed up to talk on 6.1, 6.2, 7.1, and 7.2. So once we discuss it, we'll have Ella Teeters speak. Chris, let's wait until the vote is finished, and we'll move on. I will read it before we begin the detail, Chris. Item 6, under hearing, item 6.1, we will conduct a hearing on a land use amendment for property described as lots 8 and 9, Block 13, Garland Addition, from low intensity residential designation to medium intensity commercial designation. Our new ADA Access Board person will be Mary Ann Chance. Mary Ann, congratulations. Chris?
Thank you, Mayor, City Commission, City Management. This item is located on O&K Garriott on the north side, right at Lincoln and Garriott. We have the two properties outlined in yellow. Currently, there's 2 homes there. The applicants are seeking a land use change from low intensity to medium intensity commercial. That will allow them on the next item, if is a hearing, to have a rezone from residential to commercial. This slide shows you that we have water, sewer, and road access to it, which is what we look for in a land use change. Can the property accommodate a higher use? And our determination as staff is it can. Planning Commission agreed. They also had a contingent. This property was deed restricted against businesses. The applicants have gone through district court, and that restriction has been lifted. So the MAPC recommendation does not have a contingent anymore. Are there any questions? I think there's someone else signed up to speak, so I'll step back.
Ms. Teeters? And if you would, please, Ms. Teeters, state your name and address for the record.
My name and what?
Your name and address for the record.
My name is Ella Teeters. My address is 830 South Imo Road, Enid, Oklahoma. And I signed in so that I could be legal and speak if I wanted to filibuster or double talk. And right now, I don't see a need for that. So I would like to be seated, if I may.
I've always admired your grace and intellect, Ms. Teeters.
Appreciate it.
I'll make a motion that we approve this item.
It's just a hearing.
Oh, here, excuse me. Okay, getting ahead of myself.
You spoke more than Ella.
I think I've already heard filibusters.
Item 6.2, conduct a hearing rezoning property known as lots 8 and 9, Block 13, Garland Addition, from R2, Single Family Residential District, to C3, General Commercial District. Chris?
Thank you. You can see again, the property is outlined in yellow. We have C3 commercial on the south side of Garriott. We have it on the east and the west. It's consistent. It's recommended for approval.
Ms. Teeters, do you wish to speak? That's my girl.
We'll move on to item 7, community development. Item 7.1, consider a resolution to modify the land use map of the Enid Metropolitan Area Comprehensive Plan 2025 from low-intensity residential designation to medium-intensity commercial designation for property described as lots 8 and 9, Block 13, Garland Addition.
Move to approve?
Second?
Motion by Ben, second by Tammy. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Item 7.2, consider an ordinance rezoning property known as lots 8 and 9, Block 13, Garland Addition, from R2, Single Family Residential District, to C3, General Commercial District.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Mike, second by Tammy. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Under item 8, administration, item 8.1, consider a resolution amending the 2014-2015 Capital Improvement Fund budget by appropriating additional funds in the amount of $9,400 to increase the 2014-2015 appropriated amounts for the Capital Improvement Department. Gerald Gilbert.
Mayor and Commissioners, you'll remember at a meeting earlier, several meetings ago, you approved a payment at the Willow Road project. It was part of a process we're going through to try and acquire that property through the court system. There's There's been a new filing with the, I guess, the commissioners who appraised that property, which changed the amount, and so we need to appropriate this additional amount and make that payment.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Mike,
Second?
second by Ron. Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Item 8.2, consider paying the additional just compensation amount of $9,400 as amended by the District Court of Garfield County for a portion of the property located at 25 Woodlands Drive for the public purpose of widening the street and relocating utilities for the Willow Road Project R-0303D from the Capital Improvement Fund.
Make a motion to approve that.
Motion by Mike,
Second?
second by Ron. Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Item 8.3, consider an ordinance amending the Enid Municipal Code 2003, Title 5, entitled Public Safety, Chapter 7, entitled Animal Control, Section 5-7-5, entitled Cruelty to Animals, abandoning or dumping to prohibit leaving animals and vehicles under certain conditions, allowing certain persons to enter a vehicle under those conditions, and to correct capitalization, providing for repealer, savings clause, severability, and codification. Andrea?
Mayor, Commissioners, you reviewed this ordinance in August in a study session. This was requested or brought to my office by Commissioner Wilson. The original ordinance allowed a person to unlock a vehicle only by use of a mechanical device, but would not allow someone to break a window or otherwise enter a vehicle if an animal was in danger. This ordinance now will allow firefighters, police officers, and animal control officers only to enter a vehicle by means other than just a mechanical device, where an animal's behavior indicates distress, the temperature outside of the vehicle is above 75 degrees, and you can't determine the inside temperature, or you can determine the inside temperature and the temperature is above 85 degrees.
Motion to approve.
And
Second.
I have one question, if I may. This includes vehicles and not trailers attached to vehicles, right? So if I take Huey the Wonder Mule on a drive and I want to stop and get a beer, he's not going to get pistol whipped by the cops for being in 100-degree weather, right?
I think.
Are you talking about like animal utility trailers, things like
A
that?
horse trailer.
No, it does not
I
include
had that
It's-
question today, and I honestly didn't know how to answer it.
No, it doesn't.
We're not gonna go.
That's a good
We're not
question,
gonna go
though.
free all the mules.
No.
We're not
Free
gonna
the
go
mule-
on
gonna
a
start
free.
free the
We're not
mule.
going a mule
I got
free
one
and
I'll give you,
spree.
darling.
You know why they call it a Wonder Mule?
I know what I call it.
They wonder what it's going to do next.
Motion to approve.
And
Second.
who determines the
Sure.
in distress? Because, I mean, you look at most chihuahuas and they look always in distress.
Actually,
Stinky and stuff.
the animal control officer, the fireman, or the police officer would have to determine
And we have
whether or not
handy
the animal's in
dandy
distress.
thermometers at the city available to put on your car that tells you the temperature of the inside of the car.
Yeah, and if the inside of your vehicle shows on the thermometer a pleasant 70 degrees, then you don't have to worry about it, even if your chihuahua does look like it's in distress.
Not my chihuahua.
I'm sure we can find one for you, Mike.
I'm good.
I bet we have a few.
Like
Do we
real
have,
dogs.
do we
Yeah.
have,
Yeah, we have a motion and a second.
who made the motion?
I did,
Tammy,
and Ben seconded.
Ben seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, please cast your vote. Item carries 7-0. Item 8.4, consider awarding a contract to Budget Plumbing and Construction LLC, Enid, Oklahoma, for project W-1502A, the 2014-15 water maintenance program, and authorize the mayor to execute all contract documents after review by the city attorney.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by David, second by Ben. Further discussion? Please cast your vote.
Sit down, James.
Motion carries 7-0. Item 8.5, consider a resolution to participate in federal aid projects for the construction of safety improvements at railroad crossings at North 2nd Street, North Washington Street, and North Cleveland Street.
Move approval. Second?
Motion by David, second by Ron. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0.
Catch your breath now before you start this one.
Take turns reading this one?
Oh, my goodness.
If I don't make it, somebody jump in.
Have to.
Item 8.6, remove from the table and consider an ordinance amending the Enid Municipal Code 2014, Title II, entitled Finance and Taxation, Chapter 6, entitled Fee Schedule, Article E, entitled Utilities, Fees, and Charges, Section 2-6E-3, entitled Fire Hydrant Connection Charge, to provide a rental fee for fire hydrant meters used over 1 month, amending Title II, entitled Finance and Taxation, Chapter 6, entitled Fee Schedule, Article E, entitled Utilities, Fees, and Charges, Section 2-63-5, entitled Water Rates and Charges, to update charge with current rates, reduce rates for users outside city limits, merge industrial and institutional users with commercial users, provide a greater base rate for larger water meters, set rate increases for political subdivisions and rural water districts at 2% greater than the current residential and commercial water rate, provides for specific annual increases through the year 2019 and for a 2% increase annually thereafter. Title II, entitled Finance and Taxation, Chapter 6, entitled Fee Schedule, Article E, entitled Utilities, Fees, and Charges, Section 2-6E-6, entitled Sewer Service Charges Inside City, Billing to update chart to current rates, merge industrial and institutional users with commercial users, provide for a 2% annual increase in rates effective January 1, 2015, amending Title 8 entitled Utilities, Chapter 1 entitled Utility Services, Rates, Section 8-1-13 entitled After Hours Service Fee to increase the after hours service fee, amending Title 8 entitled Utilities, Chapter 2 entitled Water System, Section 8-2-15 entitled Conservation and Waste of Water, to update chart to current rates and merge industrial and institutional users with commercial users, providing for effective date, repealer, savings clause, severability, and codification.
Bill, do you mind repeating that for me?
If you want to hear it, yes. Yeah, we have to have a motion to remove it from the table.
So moved.
Motion by Ben, second by Mike.
As long as we don't have to read it again.
Please cast your vote. Too late. Motion carries 6-1. Scott?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you know, you all last study session, our last committee meeting, decided to go forward with the Call Lake pipelines for water supply for our future. We've been working hard to update our rates in order to help facilitate that decision. So we have met with a water strategy committee and come up with these results that you should find satisfactory. There are a few minor changes that we want to make as we're making these changes. We want to go ahead and make some minor changes as we're going. One of them would be for fire hydrant meters to include a $50 rental per month starting the second month, and for changing the after-hours fee from $45 to $75, and then to strike out any references to industrial or institutional rates and merge those all, list them all as commercial rates. Some other minor changes for sewer rate structure. In the past, we have had a 5.5% automatic increase for these services, and going forward, we want to change these rates to a 2% increase. So that includes base rates, water usage rates, sewer improvement rates. So these will not be 5.5% increases any longer, they'll be 2%. There's a minor change we've made to commercial sewer rates. We're making that the same as the residential rate, which only ups it by 2 cents per 1,000 gallons. Another thing that we have worked at and have taken a strong look at is to change the way that we bill our larger customers. And so we want to charge a different rate based on the meter size. So in front of you, there are the rate structure that we've proposed for larger meters, and in parentheses, you can see how many meters are affected by that within the city. The other rate changes that we want to have, besides the water usage rate, there is a water base rate that we want to increase by 2% instead of by 5.5%. And there is also a tier structure for residents that starts at 6,999 gallons, and we want to make that only go up 2% and then go away in 2016. Political subdivisions will now be paying 2% higher than our commercial rate going forward. So again, these are good changes, dropping the automatic increase from 5.5% to 2%. Here's the water rate structure for the next 5 years. This is what the per 1,000 gallon charge will be. 2015, $3.57 per 1,000 gallons, and you can read through the chart. By 2019, $7.55 per 1,000 gallons. And here are a few charts that you can look at to kind of get an example of what it would mean to a residential user. This one goes through total bills, what you would see on your bill at 1,000, 5,000, and 10,000 gallons. For the small 1,000 gallon user, there's a very, very minimal charge increase. And as you use more water, the fee goes up. For commercial water bills, this is another example of what a commercial user could see. This only includes water and shows examples at 10,000, 50,000, and 200,000 gallons, and shows the increase that customer would expect to see over the next 5 years. Again, this is something that's been a long time coming. You can see what we're charging for water right now, $2.98 per 1,000 gallons, compared to a lot of cities our size. And Stillwater's at the top of that list. They're also a community that uses water from CAW, and they're charging $6.60. We've been behind the ball, and it's time that we updated our rates. So if there are any other questions, I'll take them now.
Quick question for you. We are, with the change we made to the multi-unit base rate, at the last meeting, we're leaving a hole in the budget. How much of that hole is filled by this change for this fiscal year?
For this fiscal year, these changes don't come into effect until, for this fiscal year. So that would include January through June.
Mm-hmm.
We will capture back about $1.1 million with this change. So against a $150,000 loss, so we're in the plus by about $950,000.
I think what he's asking you is, in this fiscal year, are you gonna make it up?
This fiscal year, we will make up $950,000 this fiscal year.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're not in the red from last week.
It is with great pleasure I recommend we approve this motion.
Second.
Motion by David, second by Ben. Further discussion.
Mayor, I would like to see us table this until our next meeting. I'm always reluctant to vote on a complicated ordinance that we've only had in our possession for 24 hours. And the public hasn't had any opportunity to comment on this. There could be some errors in this or some problems with this that we can't anticipate or are not aware of. And to me, it isn't going to cause any great problems, since this isn't effective until January, for us to postpone this vote until our next meeting.
Andrea, we have a motion and a second.
You have a motion and a second. You vote on that.
That was my question. We
Yes, yes.
vote on that motion?
Yes.
Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-1. Item 9, consent items.
Move to approve.
Mayor. Second.
We have a situation that we need to correct before we accept a motion.
Is that similar to,
We need you to withdraw your motion, if you would, please.
I'll happily withdraw.
we have Mr. Scott Coons who's requested to speak to item 9.10. So to indulge that speaker, you would pull that item from the agenda and vote on it separately.
And allow him a chance to speak.
Mayor, may also point out on item 9.6 that the heading states that the easement being prepared is to OG&E. The easement actually is to the city of Enid. It's a standard easement that OG&E can use per their franchise agreement. But I just want to clarify, it is not to the OG&E, it's a standard utility easement on item 9.6.
I would move we approve everything but 9.6 and 9.10.
We need to change the language of 9.4 on the numbers.
Ah, okay. I move we approve everything but 9.4, 9.6, and 9.10.
Second.
A motion by Ben, second by David. Do you have all that, Linda? Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Now we'll go back and take them in order. Help me with the order, Linda.
9.4.
Okay, 9.4. Approve amendment number 2 to the agreement for professional engineering services, project management, and inspection services with Tetra Tech, Inc., Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, for an additional bridge budgeted in the 2014-2015 capital improvement program. Robert Hitt.
Mayor, would recommend that the commission consider just approving the amendment for project management services. That would be at $30,000 cost to the $145,000. So the recommendation would be to approve amendment number 2 with Tetra Tech for program management services only at a not to exceed of $30,000 additional cost, and authorize the mayor to sign the amendment upon review and approval by city attorney.
I move what Robert said.
I'll second that.
Motion by Ben, second by David. Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Next one, 9.6. 9.6, convey a 25-foot public utility easement to Oklahoma Gas and Electric Company and Oklahoma Corporation to facilitate the placement of overhead power lines and support development in the area of Garland Road and Willow Road.
Mayor, I just want to express that the title says the easement is to Oklahoma Gas and Electric. It is actually an easement that would be held by the city of Enid, and OG&E has full access per their franchise agreement. But I just want to correct that wording that it's for OG&E, not to OG&E.
Do we replace Oklahoma Gas and Electric OG&E Company with the city of Enid?
No, I would replace 2 with 4. It's not 2 Oklahoma Gas, it's 4 Oklahoma Gas Company's use.
Okay, just
Make a
word 2.
motion with that correction and the title.
Second.
Motion by Mike, second by Ron. Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-1. Now we are at 9.1, 9.10. 9.10, award a contract to Bloyer and Sons, Inc., Winfield, Kansas, for the Convention Hall roof replacement, project number M1502, and authorize the mayor to execute all contract documents after review by the city attorney.
I'll move approval.
We've got somebody signed up to discuss it. Robert, do you want to?
Second. Go ahead and get that out of the way.
Motion by David, a second by Ben. Robert, you want to discuss that, and then we have somebody signed up to speak to that before we.
Yes, Mayor and Commissioner, City Manager. This is an item to award a contract for to Boyer and Sons Incorporated out of Winfield, Kansas, for doing the roofing project at our Convention Hall Conference Center. We did advertise the project. We received 4 bids, and they were based on the base bid for doing the complete re-roofing of the central section, and alternate 1 for doing the complete re-roofing of the north section, including decking, and alternate 2 for doing the complete re-roofing, including deck section on the south section. Alternate 3, which isn't shown here, which would remove the deck removal and only do a cover roofing on the central section, is not recommended. But the other 2 alternates of 4 and 5, which provide for not requiring the decking to remove on the north and south section, are recommended. And the reason is that provides us the best full coverage roofing project within the funds that are available, the budget for the project. The responsive low bid for that recommendation is Boyer and Sons, and a recommended contract.
We have somebody signed up to speak.
Mr. Scott Kuntz, if you'll step forward to the mic, state your name and your address.
I'm Scott Kuntz. I reside at 5502 Pheasant Run Drive. My father and I have had a roofing company here for commercial and industrial roofing, Enid, for 20-plus years. So I'm the only local person to bid on this job. I do understand that the city's options on this make my bid second by $545. In the city's or the architect's bidding documents, all bidders had to state the number of calendar days to complete the job, and it said that those calendar days would be considered in the awarding of this contract. So I guess that's my case to state. My calendar days were lower than Mr. Bloyer's, which gives the city the opportunity legally to award this contract to an in-town local contractor. I would hope that the city, given that opportunity, would choose to spend those funds in town, in the state, rather than out of state.
How much shorter is your completion time?
I think it says 10 days. There was 100 and ours was 90.
The documents that we see, looks like there's somewhere around $8,000 difference in with alternates. Is that?
It was $545, I believe.
That was the base bid, right, Mr. Kuntz?
Well, if you add up the city's base plus the alternates that they have listed.
I just did that, and it looks like your bid, and Robert, back me up on these figures here. I just did these on the fly, but it looks like the Kuntz roofing bid with all alternates is $321,750. And the Bloyer and Sons, that is $342,045.
Alternates 4 and 5, I believe, are deducts rather than
Yeah,
adds.
they're deducts.
Correct. And, yes, that's why my numbers are bad. Thank you, Council.
Welcome.
It's under 300 when you get done, but somebody had them both up. You in study session, Mr. Kuntz?
No, I was not.
Andrew, you may can explain this. We asked the exact same question. What are the options for the city council to give a variance or a preference to Oklahoma state-based companies? And the answer that we received was that it's a state law. They're looking at it right now, and so we felt like our hands were sort of tied. If there's some variance here in terms of days that what you state is actually legally correct, I would certainly support.
State law requires that the commission select the lowest responsible bid. If the bid that is selected is not the lowest, then the commission has to articulate why it is the most responsible, yet not lowest. So you have to determine why another bid would be most responsible. If all the bids that are submitted are all responsible bids, you have to take the lowest responsible bid.
No,
So
10 days in Oklahoma, I mean,
Could be a
one
bad
rainstorm that hits in 10 days could do a whole lot more than $500 worth of damage. Would you agree, Madam Council?
Absolutely, I would agree to that.
Was it a responsible bid?
Probably all were.
I would
They
argue
were
that
all-
they all were, yes. 10 days is really nothing. If it were 30 days, 90 days, maybe, but all of them were within an expected time frame.
So for the record, the total with the deducts is the lowest bid that we would consider, not the base bid.
Right, it would be the total that you expect to award, yes.
Okay, so Robert, what do your numbers show with the deducts and the base bid?
Yes, I think he's right. He's about a little over $500 higher than the recommended, than the low responsive bid.
As I said, I just did a comparison here between Boyer and Kuntz, and I'm not getting those numbers. It's a substantially bigger.
I just checked it. Yeah, I think he's correct.
So deducting 4 and 5 and adding 1 and 2 is what you're doing, right?
You add 1 and 2 and deduct 4 and 5. That's correct.
And Merrick, would you indulge me while I run these numbers one more time? I want to make sure that
We're trying to get it right, so keep going.
Well, let me ask the question maybe in a different way. So is there room at all for us to consider that 10-day difference as being a justifiable reason, if we articulate it properly, to alter that? Because 10 days for $500, in my mind, even at the paltry interest rates we get, probably is worth more than $500.
Well, the other factor too is that, we were told downstairs that, that roof is in such bad condition, it's creating damage in the building now.
Absolutely.
As Ben pointed out, one more storm that would occur in that 10-day period could do a lot of damage.
Absolutely.
I think, getting it done faster is important in this case.
Let me go this one first and then that one. It absolutely is. I've been there. I've been in the kitchen. I've seen the rain come in as if it's raining inside, instead of outside. And for your question, does that 10 days make the other bid not responsible? You have to decide and you have to articulate why. Could it be? Maybe. It's up to you.
Well,
As I look at the
suit.
bids, I wouldn't necessarily consider that enough difference. Like I said, they're all within the expected time frame.
What was the time schedule of both businesses starting on this project?
Well, the contract time for the recommended low bid was 100 days. Construction time, the starting time would be, takes about 2 weeks after approval to get contracts in place. So we'd start in about 2 weeks after approval of contracts and 100 days to complete. And to answer your question, Eric, yeah, the total for Kuhn's bid for the base bid and the alternates 1, 2, 4, and 5 is $282,250.
Whose bid was that, Robert?
So what's the difference?
Kuhn's Roofing.
$500.
Kuhn's Roofing,
$500.
$282,250.
Well, I would make the argument, whether it's good enough or not, 10 days out of a 100-day project represents 10%. $500 represents less than 0.5% of the total cost. So that is a significant difference in favor of the shorter contract term, and I would lean that direction if it's permissible.
And it's up to this commission. If you feel that it makes the difference to make the lower bid less responsible or not responsible bid, then it's certainly up to the commission.
What is the lower bidder's recourse against the city of Enid if we do this, since it is?
They can file a lawsuit against the city to declare
That'll cost us a little more than $500 to defend that.
It would.
if they file,
If they file
and
it.
if they're found. Okay?
Well, if they do or if they don't. There's two sides to the coin. Go ahead.
Well,
Just a minute.
Just to reiterate what all bidders turned in, their bid form says that your calendar days would be considered into the awarding of this contract. So every contractor knows going into that plays into effect the awarding of the contract. So everybody knows that going into it.
That wording is in.
It doesn't change the law that says we have to take the bid.
yeah.
Say that again.
It doesn't change the state law that says we have to take the lowest responsible.
But it does say.
I mean, everybody's bid is responsible anyway. I mean, even, I mean, would we like it 10 days sooner? Probably, but it doesn't make the other one less responsible.
Yeah, it's gonna come down to what's responsible. If you had bids that came in and one was 30 days and the other one was 180 days, clearly the difference between those two, even if they were both responsive, is gonna make enough difference that you would probably wanna select the shorter and maybe more expensive,
Still talking
bid.
10% of the time.
But
If the low bidder would have filed a suit against us, does that stop construction on it?
not immediately. It depends on the type of lawsuit. I mean,
No.
I really don't
If
wanna.
they file a bid.
It seems
Well,
unlikely.
I mean, I really,
It
Well,
doesn't
we've got all these what-ifs on the table.
Well, yeah.
But what if they file a lawsuit? Does that stop construction of putting the roof on of a building that's leaking?
There is a particular type of petition that can be filed that would stop construction.
So it does seem unlikely they would seek that kind of equitable remedy. I assume that if they did want to recover something, it would be some form of liquidated damages, not an
Probably.
equitable estoppel claim.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not, maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, Ben.
So the issue at hand is if you wish to, and let me frame the question to you, council. We have two bids, and they're different in money, but they're also different in time for completion. And they're at each end of the spectrum. One is cheaper, but it takes longer. One is more expensive, and it happens sooner. So what latitude does the council have, consistent with state law, to consider those two bids?
But we're only talking $500 in 10 days. We're not talking thousands of dollars.
But
a
if it's
month.
$1 or 10,000, the
Does-
law still.
doesn't matter.
That's what I'm
That's what I'm
saying. The
asking
law
for.
is the law.
But I want the distinction to be for the record here.
Consistent with state law, you have to articulate why the higher bid is more responsive. That's what you have to do.
Well, I think
There
we
is a
can,
motion in a second. I don't remember who made what. But
Go to
if
a
it's
vote.
to be changed, then somebody needs to.
Yeah, the motion on the
take my
table
motion
would have to be defeated, and then a new motion posed.
Well, unless the
Defeated
ban is-
or could be rescinded.
Modified or withdrawn.
I'll withdraw my motion.
There you go.
do you want to make a new one?
Mr. Coons would like to speak one.
One more thing. Sorry.
Hey, I would like to have it locally. I understand what happens when you get into lawsuits. They drag on, and that roof needs to be fixed post haste.
I think my case is legal based on the fact that I had bid a project with the same architect, same paperwork, same wording with a school system earlier this year. It's actually flipped. I was the low bidder, but their calendar days were less than mine. The school awarded them the job, case closed.
Well, those school systems get away with all kinds of things.
So
Same
we
law.
have,
School
the
systems
council
actually
has
have
the
more
option
latitude.
to articulate the distinction on making their determination of which bid to make. And in this case, it's a dollar versus days question. And as long as the council articulates that as their distinction, then a revised motion is in order and can be accepted, right?
We don't
Yes,
have a
it-
motion now, do we?
No, we don't, but I'm
There
fixing
is
to.
no
I'll
motion
make a
now.
motion that we award this contract to Kuntz Roofing based on the fact that they have a shorter time frame for completion.
I'll second.
Motion by Ron, and second by Budney.
Andrea, do you think we need more equivocation, or is that going to fit the bill?
Oh, she can fill in the equivocation.
I prefer to have you do that.
Well, I'd like to articulate that I would agree with that motion from the standpoint that, as has been stated, we have water running down the walls inside Convention Hall, which is potentially leading to damage, and that
Doing damage to
quicker
our
that we can get this
recently remodeled
accomplished.
building.
Wait just a minute, Ron.
Yes.
Quicker that we can get this accomplished, and I think 10 days in the Oklahoma environment with storms is important, and that getting the project, once they take the roof off, we need to get this done. So shortening it by 10 days is the more responsible approach for us to take, even though that bid is $500 higher.
Which really is a
That's
de minimis amount in light
Need
of
anything
the
else?
scale.
I think that's perfect.
Okay, good.
I didn't hear what you said.
She said that was good, Mr.
She liked it.
She liked it.
That's what I said.
Show any number
I
of
can't hear with three people talking at the same time.
Sound like the view up here.
Cast your vote, please. Motion carries 6-1.
This is all Ron's fault if it goes bad.
Yeah.
approved that. 9/11's already been approved. Item 10,
12.
Yeah, it was in,
10.
The consent items.
consent items.
Sorry.
Yes.
we're going to item 10, and we'll recess to convene as the Enid Municipal Authority. Item 11, the trustees of the Enid Municipal Authority special meeting are all in attendance. Item 12, Enid Municipal Authority special meeting is now in session. Item 12.1, consider a resolution increasing the 2014-2015 fiscal financial plan for the Enid Municipal Authority, EMA, in the amount of $9,400.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ben, second by Mike. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Item 12.2, approval of claims in the amount of $213,336.55.
Move to approve.
Second?
Is that you, Ben?
Yeah.
Motion by Ben, second by Ron.
It was
One
over his
comma,
spending.
Rodney. Only one comma.
It was too high.
Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0. Adjourn to reconvene as, we will now adjourn to reconvene as the Enid City Commission. Item 14, public discussion, there are none.
Goodness.
Item 15, consider convening into executive session to discuss the purchase of certain real estate, to discuss economic development, and to discuss the hiring of a new city manager, and reconvene into special section to take any necessary action.
Move to approve.
Motion by Ben, second by Rodney. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you for joining us for the Enid City Commission meeting. If you have any questions or comments, visit our website at enid.org.